Good afternoon, everybody. Today we are on the emergence of Black Britain through music, arts and culture. And we have some fantastic guests today, and we're going to be discussing the future of the creative industry in various current situations that are happening in the world at the moment. And we have the wonderful Cassandra Watson, singer and fabulous actress, comedian. We have Ray Shell with us today, actor. We have Andrea Ware, the fabulous Andrea Ware, another wonderful, formidable actress. There may be other talents that these people may reveal as well, because I'm sure they do more things than just these things. And we also, last but not least, we have Simon Glass, filmmaker. Welcome, guys. Hello, good afternoon. How are we all doing?
Thank you. Hi, thank you. Very well.
Fantastic, good. I can see all your lovely faces. This is very nice. I'm in my home. Where are you all at home, guys?
Yep.
We're all at home.
Obeying the rules.
Just trying to make sure we're all at home, aren't we? So guys, I'm going to be talking to you today about you're all in the creative industry, myself as well, and have a few questions for you, and I want to see what you all think. And I'll kind of go around one by one, and we'll see what you all say, and we'll have a nice chat this afternoon. So now I'm going to start with a question, something big that's been going on in the world that we're obviously all aware of, I would imagine. And I want to ask you, I'm going to start with you, Cassandra. How do you think the creative industry has been affected by COVID-19 and Black Lives Matter movement?
Tremendously. Let's just start with no gigs and no entertainment, job losses. My brain's exploded, but it's like I can't even begin to talk. It's affected us a lot. Like, even, I don't want to go down this road, but even like as an entertainer myself, it's shocking, because you don't even know where to start. You know, if you think about theatre, if you think about gigs, if you think about even Glastonbury saying no, they're not even, doing anything. The festivals and cinema, it's crazy. I don't even, it makes myself as an entertainer think, what is going to happen? Where do we turn? We're starting to think about other alternatives. And, I saw an artist, without mentioning names, singing at a door, because you can't go any further, but it must have been a birthday present for somebody, but they've invited that artist to go outside the front door and start singing. And I'm just like, is this what it's turned to,
Yep.
Black Lives Matter movement. It's like I don't even want to go down there, but I have to, in a way that it's shocking.
Yes. I mean, Cassandra, can I ask you, so obviously, yes, like you said, the huge negative impact that the COVID-19 is having on the industry, but do you feel there's been some positive things, right, with the Black Lives Matter movement, would you say, going forward at the moment? So there's this kind of, what's your take on that?
It's opened eyes a lot more. It's educated. It's a lot more people are standing up and noticing, and even realizing, like, wow, I didn't even know this was. Some people had their head in the sand nearly, so to speak. But it's open doors, opportunities. I've seen a lot more actors and actresses.
Oh, we've frozen for a second. So Cassandra, if you can hear us, so we may ask you to.
Can I jump in there?
Is she there? Oh, there you are. Cassandra, can you hear me? Cassandra?
Lisa, can I jump in?
Yes, Ray, let's jump in with Cassandra. Listen, we're going to jump in with Ray here. So Ray, what's your take on what's been going on recently with what currently in the world?
Well, greetings to my fellow British people. Britain was my home for about 48 years. I've been hearing about there have been negative aspects of the COVID-19, but it's been really, really amazing for me, only because it meant that for the first time in 2 years, I could stay in one place and actually get things done that I have not been able to get done. I've been able to get a record produced, finish my books, and actually just think about more what's happened. I was supposed to be in London right now, seeing my grandchildren and my daughter, but the new strain of COVID kept me away. But it also gave me some ideas just in terms of where our future is as performance artists. And for me, it's going to be on that screen that we're looking at right now. So in terms of just the lack of gigs is horrendous. but I tend to think Amanda, I think her name was, young lady.
That was Cassandra.
Cassandra, and I know her from Basement Jacks. I should know her name.
Yes.
But the Black Lives Matter situation here in the United States has, like she said, opened people's eyes, especially a lot of white people's eyes. And, y'all are my friends. Y'all ain't white. I mean, but you're white, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. It opened their eyes because of the lack of education in the United States in terms of what Black people actually went through in the 50s and the 60s, even going back to slavery. There was a 16-9 commission that Trump actually he overruled. The 16-9 commission was actually an educational program that was actually established to go into high schools and young people's schools, just to teach them what the Jews went through, what the Black people went through. And Trump said this was toxic, non-American, and he stamped it out. Biden yesterday reinstated it. But a lot of it's just down to education. People say that, well, what are you complaining about? You got this and you got all this other, you're just lazy. But what they don't realize, we built that country for 400 years for not getting a penny. So, I mean, like there have been some negative aspects, but I tend this whole thing, it's given us time to think. It's given the world time to reset.
100%. And Ray, are you personally feeling positive about Biden? Like you say, he's just brought that up, that article that was revoked by Trump. Is that the correct terminology? He's brought that back in straight away. Is that right? So you feel quite positive?
Well, he did about 17 executive orders. And the thing is, I don't think I didn't vote for Biden because I thought he was going to be, the best thing that happened to the United States. But at this point, I would have voted for tomato instead of Trump.
Yeah, so I understand that. I mean, and the wonderful Bernie. I'm a big Bernie fan. Are you a Bernie fan?
Yeah. Oh yes, yeah. I mean, it's just that the word socialism scares Americans because they equate socialism with communism. And a lot of it, like I said, it's education. No disrespect to my fellow Americans, but we are stupid.
And also, there's the big battle with the right-wing media war machine that everybody's battling. So people are reading and being fed this propaganda. I mean, they can argue that we're fed propaganda, socialist propaganda, but for argument's sake, we have a huge influence. Wouldn't you say, for people like Rupert Murdoch, that I think have a huge influence and impact on what's been going on with that?
At least it's money. Until they can find a way to make money out of peace, there is not going to be any. We're having these two oppositional media companies creates money because that's, you got all of this and all of that. We need one big news thing that actually does accuracy with both sides of the question. I don't know if that's going to happen.
100%. A really great take on that, Ray, especially the American perspective, and obviously your connection with the huge connection with the UK. And I'm sorry you've not been able to make it here. Hopefully you get here soon. Andrea, what about you? What are you feeling about what's going on in the UK, in the world, and whatnot?
I'm actually based in Vancouver, BC. So
I
have an interesting perspective because I actually just got back from the UK. I managed to quickly get in before the national lockdown for Christmas. I was there for a month and then quickly get back. So I'm a little jet lagged and all over the place, but it's been interesting being in North America at this time. Vancouver, actually, obviously the world has been affected by COVID, but it's been hasn't hit too hard here. So there's still space. In March, the industry shut down completely here. I was working on a show on Snowpiercer and everything just suddenly, it was like boom, 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 boom. Everything shut down. And then it was down here for about 3 months. Lots of uncertainties. And then, so much going on. And of course, the Black Lives Matter movement came up when everyone was still, and people, lights were shone on things that needed to be revealed. And it was such a crazy year. And eyes were open and lots of learning for many people to do. And I think I actually also work in a casting office. So I get to see changes that are now happening, and changes are happening, and it's obviously going to be slow, but the doors are opening. And I think people are trying to create more opportunities, which are, you know, it's needed and it's fair, and it should never have been in a way where there wasn't equality, but obviously things are not in a good place. But I am hopeful, and here in Vancouver the industry is opening back up. People are working. A lot of shows are actually coming here because the States is not in great shape. So things are happening here, things are moving, and they're just getting started. So hopefully this year, 2021, we'll get better. And yesterday, obviously, the inauguration, we now have Kamala Harris, and we have Black, South Asian female in the White House, which is so important. And these moves going forward, these progressive moves, and it's affecting everything. So yeah, definitely staying hopeful.
Yeah, that's good. And you're absolutely right. There seems to be some real positive things. But as you say, for me, I'm like, it shouldn't, I still kind of, I rejoice, but I also feel it's not enough. It's not enough.
It's not enough.
So much to do. And what about you, Simon? I mean, is it enough? And how are you coping with COVID, along with everything that's going on as well, with the Black Lives Matter movement, with not just Black Lives Matter? I mean, we're talking, you mentioned South Asian, that this is it ties in with everything, you know, with groups that have been sort of left behind and left out and you know, are not getting a piece of the pie, so to speak.
Yeah, it's just been a crazy year. When you think what you were doing a year ago, last January, you know, we just took freedom for granted. You know, everything that we were, you know, the work we were going about. And Ray, you were saying before that, you know, you finally, for the first time in however many years, you've had a chance to catch up on anything. But there's only so many tax returns that you can like get.
I haven't gotten to them yet.
Yeah, you know what? It was one of the first things I did. I thought, well, look, if I'm not going to be working for the next few months, I'll just get it done. But you know, it was just that freedom of getting out. I mean, all of us, you know, are in professions where, you know, every day is different, and you go out and, you know, from one week to the next, you don't know where you're going to be, you don't know which country you're going to be in, and it's just changed incredibly. And then I was working up at the BBC making short documentaries up until March, and then we finished anyway, and then we were all expecting to come back, but because of COVID and everything, they decided not to renew the series. So unfortunately that got axed. But I think the film industry has shifted a lot towards sort of archive heavy documentaries, you know, because everybody can just stick at home and everybody can just rewatch a load of archive stuff and do that. But I suppose it helps, you know. I mean, for me, I've been fortunate enough to sorry about that. Fortunate enough to be able to work from home, but it does get quite tedious after a while.
How are you coping with that? I mean, Simon, what personal, on a personal level, I mean, as far as your mental health and stuff, and I'm sure it is affected, everybody's affected at different levels, but how are you coping with that yourself as an as an artist that can't really, I mean, lots of people can't get out there, but from your perspective? Walking
and running. Like Cassandra, it can't be underestimated, right? Like, I used to think walking was stuff that, you know, my grandparents would do. You know, they'd enjoy a nice stroll, but honestly, it's a lifesaver. You know, you got to go every day after lunch around 3:00, go for a walk. It just shakes your head up, and then you can come back, do a few hours work. It's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah,
well, I'm sorry.
Yes, sorry, Ray. No, go ahead, Ray. You want to tell us, give it a bit of an insight into how to cope with things. It's good for people to hear.
Well, the thing is, it's like for like 40, 50 years, I'm old. 40, 50 years of my career, it's been 8 shows a week every day, except for, let's say, Sunday or Saturday, whatever day they give, Monday, they give us off. So whether I wanted to or not, because it was my job, I had to be outside somewhere. And now I don't even like, now I'm so spoiled. I don't even know if I want to do 8 shows a week. Yes, I do, but 8 shows a week, you know, again, because it just being home in one spot, just not having to think, okay, 7:30 tonight, I got to be there. I got to leave here at 4 to get there. It's been crazy. We opened I was doing a play called Tony Stone, about the first Black female baseball player in San Francisco at ACT. Ann McKenna, and the lady that got the Tony for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf was the director. I was going, yeah, my American career is going. We opened and closed the same night. March 11th, we opened. They gave us, she was trying to put us down nicely. She was saying, like, we're going to go until Sunday. I got a call the next day at my hotel. Rick, you closed last night. You know what I mean? And then I said, well, oh, great, I'll stay in San Francisco. And I said, Rachel, you can't stay in San Francisco. They close in the city. Get your ass on that plane and get home. So I've been here. And, I've been talking to my family and stuff, and people are going stir crazy and stuff. But I think that for us, that in the arts, that travel is part of our whole lives. For me, it was just a blessing, just to connect, just to, meet my sisters and brothers again.
Yeah, 100%. And we've got the lovely Cassandra back. Thank goodness. She had a little technical problem, but she's back. And fantastic stuff, guys. But I'm going to move on to the next question here. So I'll come back to you, Cassandra. I want to know what your view. What do you think? I mean, I wonder if you have a take on this or any thoughts on this. What direction do you think the creative industry should take after ongoing from Black Lives Matter and the COVID-19 situation? Do you have any views on that or anything that comes to mind?
You were a bit choppy, so and I have to apologize.
Sorry.
My internet is just doing something crazy.
This is Zoom COVID world we're living in now, so don't fret. We will have these little issues, but we can always come back to you. So I'll ask you one more time, and hopefully that you'll get this now. So what direction do you think the creative industry should now take after Black Lives Matter and COVID-19, or during as it's happening? Did you get that?
A little bit. Direction, take, forward, action. I'm a bit. It's challenging. I'm not 100% sure. Educate, going into the systems of schools. Oh gosh, there's so much. This COVID. When you say COVID, it throws me because it's just there's so much to it. It's not like I can just give one answer.
Of course, and I mean, let me kind of.
Am I still there?
Sorry, you're frozen. You're still here. We've still got you here, and I hope you can still hear me. I mean, I suppose as to embellish on this question, the direction the industry should take. I mean, as far as even the UK and government support, things like that. I mean, do you feel like the industry is being properly, adequately supported by our government?
Lisa, you're losing me. You're losing me.
Oh,
losing me.
Okay. So look, we'll come back.
I can't even hear you that well. I really apologise.
That's okay. Don't apologise. We're going to come back to you in a moment, Cassandra. Hopefully, we can get that signal a bit stronger. So let's go to you, Ray. So did you get that question? So what are your thoughts on what direction we should be taking as the UK, and we can take that out to the rest of the world if you like. But we'll start with what's happening in the UK, for example. For a start.
Well, I think it's up to us creatives to discover a new way of doing things. I think if anything, this gives us a great opportunity to set up new platforms, because the old way is not going to work anymore. I can't see live theater happening again until for a few years. I mean, Andrew wants to bring Cinderella into the Palladium in April, but I can't see that happening. Show is supposed to start at the arena stage. The one we got closed, we were about to start it again in March, but I just got heard from the casting director that that's not happening. So we've got to look at different ways of doing things. I tend to think that since everything is going on to the small screen, it's just getting facilities. I think like in my neighborhood, I was going to turn it into like a regional theater, but what we need more is lighting designers, director of photography, sound engineers that can actually do these kind of things to give us new and different kinds of performance platforms that can actually equate to zooming these things and putting them on the small screen, large, any screen in the world. I mean, a film I was in Canada, and we went to Montreal, Andrea, because of the tax returns, and because, what you said, we did the United States versus Billie Holiday in Montreal. And the thing about it is we were meant to do a live theater thing for Paramount. They sold it to Hulu because of COVID. So these platforms are what's and I look at it this way, you don't have to be Hulu. You can have a smaller Hulu-ish kind of company, Simon. But I tend to think that we do have to investigate just getting more of our content where people will see it. And that's in screen.
And we have to hope that that's happening. And I would imagine it, like you say, it's difficult, I think, because none of us seem to, I guess many of us thought we would be out of this by now. This is the thing. So we're going with something that is so the unknown. It's really tricky. And how do you navigate that? But as you say, hopefully people are coming up with things as we go along. What about you, Andrea? What are you hearing out there? Or are you picking up on anything in the industry that going forward that is changing and it's assisting us in being able to get our work out there and to continue working?
Yeah, I think in terms of theatre, friends of mine just put on a show and they live streamed it. So that was something interesting and it was really cool. It worked. So everyone could tune in on a Zoom. I think it was a Zoom platform. And it was black box theatre, really creative, intuitive, like following the artist, and to be able to sit home and watch some live theatre, glass of wine, like felt really good. So that's something, and yeah, I see more of that happening, and it's thinking outside the box, it's diversifying our skills, and yeah, finding ways to create art for an online platform right now. Also, like the National Theatre Live, they've been screening their shows, and hopefully, like there'll be other theatres in London will be perhaps doing the same thing in sense of performing and live streaming maybe, or sharing it that way, which is hopeful. And then in terms of on camera, I think making your own work, making your own projects, and whether that's something that you're doing at home or in your local environment, I'm definitely a big supporter of that. And learning new skills to get out there.
I think affected people I think of the most, and me, like Ray says, I feel like I'm a bit of an old fart here, but I'm thinking of the young kids out there, and my heart breaks for them. And I mean, when I was in my 20s, I wanted to be running around singing, doing what I do, and drinking and being in an audience, hugging people, and like the things that we're really missing. And Simon, do you think that that's something maybe to think about? Obviously we all need support, and but especially the impact that this will maybe have on young people, upcoming filmmakers, actors, singers. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose everybody's got mobile phones in their pockets now, and so the way we're digesting stuff is completely different because we're watching Netflix on our phones now. But I think as the other two were just saying, that it's in a way you can use the mobile phone, and I'm trying to encourage people. And in fact, I do know that there is, we're actually sort of directing people to make their own films remotely. So you're calling up, for instance, you're calling up people who normally you would go out and film. You're asking them, have you got a mobile phone? And can you just film a few sequences from your life? So it's really, fascinating. And in fact, I was talking to a director of photography the other day, who's remotely lighting a project in Canada. He's based in London, and he's doing this in Canada. I said, how does that work? He said, well, I just log in at, 4:00 in the afternoon or something. And, I just, give them directions, and they, I've got somebody over there, and they just, we work like that. It's never the same as being in person. And Lisa, what you were saying before about, just even the networking aspect of it. You go for a drink in Soho after a theatre production or something, there's none of all of that's just decimated. There's none of that. Just meeting random people, and your career sort of turns just by meeting somebody in a bar or something. It's just a shame all of that's gone. But I do think using this new technology is a good moment that we're at the moment. And although one thing, I was talking to somebody at the BBC the other day who was in charge of commissioning ideas, and they said the last thing we want is we want ideas that are not COVID specific. So like everybody's had enough of COVID on the screens, so no more face masks. We want post-COVID content now.
Yeah, we certainly do. We want the roaring 220s, right? After the Spanish flu, we want that, don't we? I think that's what we all want here. And that kind of leads me on to, I think we've got Cassandra back. Are you with us, Cassandra? Lovely Cassandra. Yeah, she's good. Bit of a shaky one there. So I'm going to try and see if you can. I mean, leading on from what Simon says, and really, we're talking about what we need to do, and a lot of people are saying that the technicality of getting, technical side of getting our music and our arts out to audiences. So that leads to what we require investment, right? The government, and surely they need to kind of support the industry, which we don't. I think we can all agree maybe that isn't really happening. What's your view on that, Cassandra?
It's like they've closed the door on us, if I'm honest. There isn't. We could do the marches and the protests, but we just need help. It's like a cry out in a sense, you know. And I guess from all angles, you know, there's people that I know that work with like big names and stuff like that, and they're like emailing letters, like, we need help out here, you know, support. And it's like it's not happening. And if it is, please somebody tell me. You know, seriously, where it's like it's gonna die if we don't get help or come together somehow. Let's put on our own show. Let's be a bit rebellious. Come on, no, stop it, Cassandra. But it breaks my heart because we're not getting any help. We're not getting the help that we need, and we're dipping into our own finances and emergency funds to try and make things happen and use the social media as much as we can and stuff like that, you know. Please.
Well, the UK, you guys are getting more help than we do, man.
Yeah, it sounds like, Ray, we might be slightly better off than it is over there. So thank you.
Yeah, Ray, speak to us. Speak to us.
I mean, seriously, I was so shocked because I lived in the United Kingdom. I sort of kind of lived there now. I lived there from 1978. I just come back here in 2015 because my mom passed. And there's like, at least I live across the street from the Arts Council, but at least you guys get some sort of subsidy for the arts. We get little bits and pieces, but the whole giving to people in this country seems to be like a bad word. We will not help you because you got to help. It's like Thatcher, though.
No, I mean, I'll say it.
It's like the whole USA is like Thatcherland. You know, so what it tells me, again, when we have those kind of situations, we as artists, it just makes you think, what can I do? I think what we've been doing basically is collaborating with different, I'm producing a girl called Nia Bradford. She sends me her vocals from Ipswich, and I take them to a little studio right down the road and do all the magic and stuff and send it back. And we've gotten her record played on BBC, which is notoriously difficult, as Cassandra knows, to get anything played on the BBC if you don't know nobody. So I think it is this cross collaboration, this world collaboration. Simon and Andrea, I'd love to talk to you guys afterwards about things that we can do, because one thing about this whole brave new world is that it is letting Americans know that there's someplace else besides New York and California. There is another world out there. And I think what we can do as artists right now is to, even down to the theater buildings, they've got to start designing. I was talk to John Napier, who designed Cats and all those places. Other kinds of theater buildings, of theater places where you could actually do concerts and stuff that has socially distancing and things already incorporated. Because again, Cameron, all of them, hi Cameron, they're thinking about the bottom line. How many bodies can we squeeze into this place that's going to give us our million pounds a week running costs and stuff? So it's up to you guys, because you guys are young, to think of these other kinds of ways of creating spaces that are socially distanced until this pandemic goes away, hopefully.
Yeah, 100%, right. And I mean, Andrea, this is the thing. We need investment for that. Surely we do, and it's not really happening. But we definitely need it. It seems like it's integral, really, because it was, and people have to. It's bad enough, as we probably all know on this chat here, as an artist, when people want you to work but they don't want to pay you, and of course that is now tripled by a million at the moment. So it's like a double hit, really. And it's, yes, we all were privileged. I do the same. I sing and act as well. I feel very privileged to be able to do that as my job. But like I say, going forward, there won't be, we can only watch so many reruns. I mean, like you were saying, Simon, the archives, it's wonderful to sit, but, it's trapped in this nostalgia bubble. We need to get new stuff out there. And it isn't, in my view, just anyway. Andrea, what's your take on that?
Sorry, broke up a bit.
Well, this basically on this question of why we so desperately need this investment right now, and how do we tackle that? You know, I mean, do we protest? What do we do?
Good question. It's a hard one. Again, a slightly different perspective being here in Canada, that funding is more available, I think, here than in the UK, certainly more than the States. And they're definitely trying to support everyone in general, but the arts. But it's hard. There are these platforms, aren't like the GoFundMe and Kickstarter campaigns, and I see things like that pop up, but obviously it's not a long-term solution. You're mentioning different venues, but I think of the theaters, like, is there a way of like still having, and I guess that is through streaming. I've watched a few concerts where they're paying $10 and they're doing a live show. Again, it's not sustainable for the long term and the money isn't the same. But yeah, no, it's so hard. And we need art. We need it.
Yeah,
we need it.
Yeah, that's the key thing. It's like the powers that be, the business people, the financiers that run this world, they don't believe that we need art. They don't think it's necessary because they don't dig it. But the thing about it is, for our own human sustenance, cultural sustenance, we need it. But I tend to think we really do need to think, I think we need to look at what we had, those kind of theaters and those kind of venues, as part of the past. We really, really got to look at how do we build structures that people will come to and actually feel safe, because that's the thing. They can open Broadway tomorrow, but audiences ain't coming back. They are scared. The world is scared about the pandemic. Yeah. Half the country don't believe there is a pandemic. The other half is like scared. My sister won't even come. If I have company in here, she will not come and visit me. She's masked up, and that does not encourage social interaction. So we've got to think about different ways and different structures of housing our art. I mean, there's a thing that's happening here. It's called Radial Park, whereby they built screens, and it's a combination of, let's say they'll show Purple Rain, the screen. The script part will be on the screen. The live part will be the singing in it. So it becomes a concert kind of a cinema, Simon. You know what I mean? This place, it travels from region to region. So it's a way of actually bringing artists and stuff, giving them a job, giving craftsmen something to actually build. And it's like a drive-in theater concert thing. So you get 500 cars, $150 a car, and you can pay 150 pounds for one friggin' ticket to see Hamilton, you know? So it's economically, it's cheaper for a family, but at the same time, it's doing something, bringing people together, but in a very safe way. So, I mean, I think we got to think about things like that and say, this virus, we've had COVID, blah, 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 blah. We've got to go post-COVID into the new way.
Yeah, 100%. And Simon, again, I sort of bring it back to investment and also being part of, you know, our government's responsibility in how they choose to invest, you know, and what they're doing. And what do you think? I mean, you've said quite rightly that there's a lot of technical stuff that we're dealing with going forward of how we reach audiences, like Ray said, how you kind of use certain venues and start to think like and actually spend time and investment in that. How do you think? I mean, obviously, this is down to voting and it's a difficult thing, isn't it? This country as well at the moment is so divided, similar to same as America, and you have people that just sort of mock the arts really, and so you're just privileged, pampered, you know, who cares, you know, we need to get out and make money, we don't need you. There's an element of that, isn't there? What's your take on that?
Definitely. I mean, first of all, you know, you look at Germany, I think had a load of money from the government pumped into the arts community, you know, so they've been fine, for instance. But yeah, over here, I mean, I can, you know, I suppose there's no easy answer, you know, and obviously, I mean, just walking around the streets of London, you know, you just see all the different industries decimated, and you know, it's you know, with the Tory government in control, you'd think that they would be able to take some money from somewhere and put it into the arts like everywhere else. I think I was actually just before Christmas, I was actually, because Ray, you were talking about all these hybrid ways of combining the arts. You know, you've got cinema and theatre coming together. I was actually lucky because I know a theatre producer, and he was trying to put on a load of shows at the Hippodrome in London. And they started with, you know, about 40 shows, but gradually it got, you know, whittled down to about 20, and then a load got cancelled. So they ended up with only about 15 shows. And he said, can you come along and film it? So I said, well, yeah, and, you know, gave him a quote, and he said, well, we can't do, you know, I said, this is standard, and this is like, you know, mates rates as well. And he said, we can't do anywhere near that. Anyway, so, you know, Lisa, as you were saying before, you know, people just don't give you, you know, sometimes you know, people want something for next to nothing. So anyway, in the end, I did it because I thought, you know, like, you've just got to be resourceful. You've got to take what you can. But it was some of the performers on stage that, you know, most of the performers on stage had seemed to have they'd been doing other jobs, you know, during that time. And it's just, I mean, it's great and it's resourceful again, but it's just such a shame that, you know, that talent like that is, you know, filtered into other jobs, you know, and it can't, you know, and we don't have a full, you know, these people aren't in full time at the moment, you know, full-time employment as performers, giving us what, you know, this art that we need.
Well, I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Cassandra. Cassandra?
No, go ahead.
Yes, Cassandra, well, you're there, aren't you, my lovely? Let's come back to you as well. And we'll lead on actually to the next question, but there's a lot of thoughts about why, you know, a lot of very valid reasons where we all think that we need, you know, we require investment during COVID-19 as an industry. And obviously, yes, of course, everybody does, but we, you know, there's a real lack of it. And this is a bit of a, I mean, look, this is a question, but when do you believe things will get back to the usual way of operating? Exactly. I mean, well, I suppose in terms of, I mean, there's so much information, isn't there? I mean, did you find that you're sort of trusting in one source, not a particular newspaper or news, not any kind of news station or anything in particular, but just things that you're hearing? Is there something in your intuition maybe that you think, yeah, you know what, I think maybe we're going to be right in a year? Glastonbury, like we said, has just been announced now. We're not having it this year. Yeah. It's going to be 2022. So Cassandra,
I'm just like, what are you talking about? Sorry. Yeah. It's, and then if they're thinking like now, and you're talking about in a couple of months, I don't know. To really see this kind of go like this, like die down a little bit, I could say another 24 months.
Yeah, another 2 years maybe. And we're looking at a new way of working, right? I mean, do you think, because like we're all saying, I guess we're all talking about that, but a way of working where, I mean, I find it, you know, people are streaming things on Instagram and social media. That's great. But how do we get paid? How do we get paid? And of course, what people don't realize, I think, I'm sure you'll agree, that a lot of actors, performers, singers, they work really hard, but they don't necessarily get paid. And they're having to do bar jobs on top of that and everything else. So I think a lot of the public sometimes assume that everybody's kind of a certain level of status, that once you're a singer, or that you're getting paid, you know, overpaid. And it's not, yeah, absolutely. So
it's not true, it's a lie.
So are we looking at a new way of working where instead of just having to stream our art on social media, where we're actually getting paid and selling tickets in some way or another? And what do you think about that?
Well, I mean,
there, Cassandra? Oh, no, sorry, I was talking. Cassandra, are you there? That's okay, Ray. I
am here, but it does chip and chop, so I'm just making out what you're saying. I'd rather go to Ray because I can just about hear it. When I talk, it's like it cuts out. But we've just been resourceful. It's nearly like you're digging deep within yourself to say, what can I do now, you know? And it's true, we're using the social media and stuff. We're just trying our best at how we're making money. Lisa, I feel like, I don't know, I'm not giving up. I'm not a quitter. And I know of entertainers that are not quitters as well, but they are trying to, as you say, collaborate, or can I go down this route. It's tough. Right now, it's really tough. You know, and to say to get paid, like Simon said, you know, people don't want to pay. They're like, oh, can you do it for 20 quid? I'm like, no, I said 250 quid. Do you know what I mean? It's really poor. It's poor. And soul destroying at times, you know. So, and then you're starting to think, oh, should I go back to the office then? I don't want to do an office job. I'll start singing and performing at the desk. Do you know what I mean? It's annoying. You know,
it is annoying, and you know,
it's annoying.
Yeah, singers like you, talented singers like you, of this is what you've done for many years, and why should people be telling you, go and get a train in something completely different? It's very tricky. Thank you, Cassandra. And should social media be paying artists? Maybe they should.
Yeah, well, they should, and I tend to think that if we can turn our social media kind of platforms into turn that into a high art. I tend to think that like I'm going to be doing a video at the neighborhood theater down the road, down there for one of my bands. But I tend to think if you could actually employ the kind of artistic stuff to make it spectacular, then that in itself should be able to get income from a producer who's actually going to showcase that. There are places here in the United States that you'll get one show, let's say, for free, but the next time you have to pay $30. And the thing about it is, it's not like they're not used to paying money for art. You couldn't get the seat for Hamilton, but you had to pay like $2,000 or $3,000 for a seat. And I tend to think because people aren't asking for that, I tend to think if you can show something whereby the quality of it is worth the money that they're paying, I know people will pay for it because they want to see something. And so there's all these lazy producers all over the world that'll do it for me for 2 pence. Baby, we've got to, as artists, be able to start saying no. Can't do it like that. I've got to be able to live just to be able to get something that you can watch. I tend to think a lot of regional, like I'm talking to the council in my city. I tend to think that it behooves them to actually put into the pot something that artists can actually use so we can live, so we can create these things.
100%. And are we talking about, Simon, are we talking about unions involvement here as well, maybe, where there's got to be some sort of step? I don't know. That's just something that's come to mind. What do you think?
Possibly. Like Ray was saying before, that in America, socialism is kind of is a word that's frowned upon, and unions is kind of, in this country, it's a bit of a a thing of the past. It's like we're all very much more, I don't know, but maybe individuals now. That's the dream that's been sold to us. But I don't know. Maybe it will inspire us to become more more united and unionistic and start demanding that.
The unions we already have. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you up. Like, I know Actors Equity here have started now putting getting contracts together so that if we do a Zoom play, there's a certain contract that a producer would have to pay. Because right now, producers are getting a lot of content for nothing.
Yes, exactly. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it has to go back to where producers, if you want my services, you got to pay me something. We got to live.
So we're taking a stand, right, Andrew? You think there should be more of a stand taken with support from the unions that we do have, and tackling. It's a big monster to battle with as well. Social media. I'm not even sure if I'm right about that. But I'm like, they make a lot of money. They have a lot of us. They have us putting our work out there, and people are watching it. And we're not asking for. I wouldn't be asking, just something, that people are paid to keep people afloat and to get paid for what they're doing. What do you think?
I think people are also. They are getting it for free because artists have been giving concerts online, which is wonderful. They need to perform. They want their audience, but now people are probably getting used to it, and it is that instant gratification. So pick up your phone. Oh, cool, James Blake is playing, and I got to see that for free, and you get your fill of it. And it was wonderful during COVID and lockdown. But moving forward, yes, artists need to be paid, and maybe a collective, a union. I got an email from the union the other day. It was about animation work coming into the area, and they weren't paying certain rates, and they're like, don't work on it, do not do it, do not audition for it. And it's that same mentality almost for artists to come together, and perhaps there needs to be that shift.
Because they've got a global audience now sitting at home twiddling. And they know
wanting content.
That global audience has got to be fed. And I look at it this way: maybe what we need to do is maybe start. Simon, I'll talk with you later. Start another tier of streaming that isn't Hulu's, because they have a whole house style that you have to buy all this equipment to even look like, even get close to a Hulu. It might mean that we need to have a subversive kind of a streaming thing that isn't platform that isn't as expensive as Hulu and all those other things, but at the same time, people will watch anything that engages them. I mean, they even use mobile phone movies on CNN, on the news and everything. In fact, all that's the content that they have. Are they paying for that? Hopefully they are, but that doesn't mean we can't do it as well. We can't do it as well. I look at it this way. These are 6 boxes that we're sitting here watching right now could be a soap series.
It's true.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
what? It makes me think of, and maybe you all saw recently the big furore about Tom Cruise sort of shouting at one of his crew, and that's not the reason it kind of struck me. What struck me, which I didn't know at the time, was that he has personally invested, and are we talking about that as well? Some very, not, you know, again, it's a bit, the whole socialist thing comes to mind, I guess, but he's got out there and he said, you know what, I'm going to produce this, I'm going to put money into it. And the reason he was so angry with this person that had broken a rule or something and put people at risk of infection is because he said, you know, I'm giving this opportunity to everybody. And maybe there's that as well, that it's in the unions thing. I mean, are we asking big people out there, the Elton Johns and whatevers of the world, to kind of step in now and not sit at home comfortably in their robes? I'm kidding. I love Elton John.
No, but they got money. They got money.
Footballers and everyone. Come on.
Yeah, exactly, Cassandra. So are we even, I don't know. I mean, it's really having this conversation because some real great things are coming up here. And even for me personally, and you know, who knows, and maybe some of us have to step up personally and put this stuff out there and start asking, because leading on to the next question, the last question we have for all of you, and Cassandra, and this is as we're talking, are you thinking about a different approach to your work, and can you identify that any kind of outcomes of that? Have you personally been doing anything where you've managed to feel that, okay, this is working for me maybe going forward, or are you feeling stuck and that we really need something to happen?
I was feeling stuck for quite some time, actually. And then I had, as I said, you've got to dig deep. I'm like, should I go into a bit of teaching what I do? Do I build another in a platform where people could, Ray just said it, we got to, forward thinking, adapt to it. It's not going to go back to what we know. It's not. Let's really kind of wrap our head. And, I've been saying, what's the new norm? We need to make a new norm. And like Andrea said, she said, that we can't just be giving away our talent. And even myself, I'm like, oh, that's nice, isn't it? Now, if somebody turned around and said, oh, you got to pay £50 for that, I'm like, they got a cheek. Do you know what I mean? Because you're so comfortable with that. And no, pay the £50. Do you know what I mean? But I have right now I'm doing a website, I'm building another way of doing things and a platform to kind of use my talent to kind of build other people and teach them that they can still do it through this kind of screen, because we have to, know. It's sad to say it. Did I just say that? Yes, I did. Don't shut me down. But I want it to be live. I love interaction. I like touching humans. Do you know what I mean? But this is the newish, I don't want to say new way, but newish kind of way that's happening,
But that's wonderful. As a singer and an artist, you've managed to kind of think about others as well, which is what I just kind of brought up, really. And that's really wonderful. That I think that's a typical trait of most artists, that we tend to kind of think of others around us.
That's what life's about. It's not about, you can't think about yourself. The world is not about just you, I, self, me. It's about building others. That's what makes it makes me happy. When I see somebody else grow and say, I can do this, and that's what my when you go onto the website, it's not finished yet, but it says, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. It's about you.
What's that? Can you tell us what that website is, please, Cassandra?
It's in the making. It's in construction.
It's in the making. So audience, please look out for that. And I will definitely be checking that out. But yeah, wonderful stuff, Cassandra. I love the fact that you've said that you're trying to think of ways of how you're keeping others going. And Ray, what about you? You've given a lot of a view of your different way of approaching things. And
I'm just old. I'm a granddad. I've been living it.
You're not old. Come on, Ray. Stop it.
With wisdom.
But I think that live is going to come back at some point. And I think that what we can do while we're waiting for that to happen is build our audiences, work in our craft, And live, when it does come back,
Oh, we
it's
lost
going
you
to
for a
be at a
second.
premium. And the way these people, the way these producers are going to make their money. You got me now? Yeah, you got
Yeah,
me?
we got you. We
Can
got
you hear
you
me
back.
now?
We got you
Yeah.
back.
I mean, live is going to be such a premium when it does come back, that if we work now to build the audiences, and like, for instance, I started, my literary agent told me, Ray, you're going to be waiting forever. The only books that they're printing right now are Trump books, people about him. So what I've done is started my own little publishing company, Street Answer Books. I got a novel out now called Carolina Red. I'm an Amazon best-selling actor, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, you got to create it yourself. Get people, build your brand. Take the time to build your brand. Each of you got books in you. Cassandra, you got a book. How I became the top, how I got the Basement Jacks. That's a book.
Yeah.
That's a book. You know what I mean?
Come on, Ray.
You know what I mean? Seriously, I did it. People want to know the books of how do you do things. They sell more than novels.
Yes.
How do you do how do you
Yes.
do that? They sell
Yes.
more than novels. And I tend to think that the spoken word, you know, the podcast things, how do I make films, Simon? Andrea, you know, how do I get on stage? How do I get through that first audition? We have a big coming generation. The young people want to know, how did we do it? How do I do it? They'll pay for that.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And as an actor, like you say, many actors do tend to write as well, not all, but and they can. And you know, I think maybe for me personally, and I don't know if many of you will agree, sometimes it's me battling with my mental health, dealing with the situation of getting motivated, which can be really hard. But I think these kind of conversations are really important.
Put it on your phone.
You've got me
Put it
going.
on your phone.
You know?
Yeah.
My daughter told me, I thought I had a magic phone. I said, oh, wow, I found this voice to speech thing. I could just talk it and it writes them. She said, Dad, it's always been in your phone. Use your phone. Use your phone. Because the thing is, they think, oh, you're going to write a book, you have to talk. And it's, you know, people want your voice, warts and all. That's what, so they can relate. Warts and all, whatever your slang, whatever your language is, whatever, just put it in your phone and write that out. The art of writing a book, books are not written, they're rewritten. You know, and I tend to think we can actually start there, you know, just letting people, the skills that we already know, we can take those skills and earn from it, because there's a world of people that want to know what we know already.
Yes,
100%.
Right there.
And Simon, 100%, and you're so right there, Ray. And I think it's that generosity, like we've just discussed with Cassandra, of wanting to give that back to people and to encourage and keep each other going. And Simon, in terms of filmmaking, for you, have you found a different approach to working? Are you still managing to get out there with your camera and as much as you can legally and all the rest of it?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's changed a lot. You know, before lockdown, I was actually out there shooting stuff myself. And, you know, since that, there's not been so much work directing. So I'm sort of helping other people realize their projects. But as Ray was saying before, you've got to work on your own brand. And, you know, while I'm doing other people's work during the day, I'm working on my own stuff at night, and, you know, all these ideas. And the mobile phone is so great. I mean, WhatsApp is like full of content, like messages between your friends and your family. It's just dynamite. I mean, but you know, my friends and family don't know this, but you know, well, they will do after they hear this. But you know, I keep records of everything. Don't ever get into a personal conversation with me because it's on record. You know, and some of the best stuff, you know, you can transcribe from that. You know, as Ray you were saying before, you know, it's like that is the real stuff. And also, so many more documentaries are out there at the moment. You know, how many of 20 years ago, documentaries were a bit sort of bookish and nerdish, and now it's like, you know, the top thing that you want to watch.
Yeah, 100%. And it's I just want to say as well, I'm just looking, hang on a second, I'm just checking something out, guys, as I'm speaking to you. Where is it? Oh, I can't find it. Never mind. So yeah, I mean, that's right, Simon. We're all on WhatsApp groups, most of us, I would imagine. Same thing. I mean, God, if we could make money from memes, right? We'd be laughing, wouldn't we? All the way to the bank, I think, everybody. What about you, Andrea? As an actress, what are you? What different approaches are you taking to work? And I know you've shared some of that already. But have you identified with something that you think, yeah, this is kind of working for me at the moment? And are there other things that you're doing alongside that you do alongside? Do you write yourself, or is anything like that keeps you busy and keeps you going?
Yeah. Well, actually, last year and a little bit before, I started writing and writing some poetry, and then became a short film, which I just finished, and it's doing the festival circuit now. But it was something that I had the space to do and had an idea, got a group of people together and just did it. And then, and that felt so good. So that's now kind of, shaping what I'm doing now. I've written a few short scripts during COVID, and I like that idea of, like shifting a bit. And yes, I'm an actor, I always have been, but now I'm a filmmaker and I love collaborating and I want to help other people. I think community is so important, and being surrounded by people just like this, so you're sparking off each other. So I think, I wanted to offer, like, just within the community here, maybe like every Friday, just like have a coffee, because I'm thinking of like the young artists who are just trying to get going. They're so isolated right now, and they need this as well to be then creating stuff, and we all need it. So coming together, sharing ideas, and coming up hopefully with gold to take us forward.
Well, congratulations and well done with that. I mean, I personally as well have done a few other things myself that I've not really touched on before, and there are some positives. You can't deny that for some, not for all, unfortunately. But I mean, and Cassandra, with you, I watched it today. Can you tell everybody about your character, Mrs.? I had a little look at that today. So that
she's a little old granny.
Yeah, have you always done some acting alongside singing, or is this a completely new thing?
I've acted since I was about 7 years old. I went drama school, everything. So I sing, I do acting and all that. But Mrs. Matty is a 70-year-old granny, and I dress up as her. It's kind of like the Jamaican version of Mrs. Brown.
Yeah, and Mrs. Doubtfire, maybe, right? A Jamaican Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes, very much so. The inspiration in there. So it's like Quincy asked me a question, like, what's the vision for her? I have a vision for her now. Since I thought, no, I have a vision, but it was nearly like a 3-month vision. But I thought, no, she needs to go a little further. So I have one now, which is good. And she encourages, she builds up, she will cuss you out a little bit without swearing and stuff. But she'll just say little Jamaican, or something like that. So she'll say, "Man, I'll tell you about to say finna," kind of like that. So she, so
I love her.
Well, that sounds like something that TikTok would love. I mean, because the thing about it is they commenting on.
You just all up in my business, isn't it, Ray? How did you just take that out of my head? Oh my gosh! Yeah,
that sounds like a TikTok girl, you know.
That's what I'm talking about, Ray. Yes. She really stuck it to her hand like this, and but that's where she's going to be on. That's her platform.
Well, she is wonderful, and she's just what I think everybody needs a bit of. Can you tell us again? Sorry, her name.
Mrs. Matty.
Mrs. Matty. We all need a little bit of Mrs. Matty right now. So, audience out there, please find Cassandra and check her out, because it's a lot of good fun, a lot of laughs there. So, guys, that's kind of wrapping it all up, really. But it's been such a great chat, because you've all we've touched on some amazing things here. I mean, we've talked about the possibility, should social media be paying artists in some way, or should we be looking to the bigger artists in the world that are very much set up with a very big financial infrastructure, and should they be giving back to support if the government won't, and stepping in? And I think that's something that's come up today. And you've all touched on things, given some really great tips, especially you, Ray, with some wisdom there about, you've really got me psyched up about kind of just keep going and find those parts of yourself that maybe you wouldn't have found in the films and the things you wrote, Andrea, that you've written, that wouldn't have been done if we'd have all been in Soho getting drunk,
I miss Soho getting drunk.
I do.
I mean, let's be honest, we're probably most of us still getting drunk, but in a different way. And it's been such a delight to talk to all of you, and especially touching on the Black Lives Matter movement, of that weird sort of thing where there is progress there, even though COVID has taken us into this kind of very dark, sometimes very frustrating, unknown place. But it's been really great to talk to all of you, and everybody, please go and check out Ray with his new. Could you tell us again the name of your new novel, Ray, that everybody should have a look at, and where they can? That was on Amazon, I believe. Yeah,
it's called Carolina Red. And if God had written a history about the United States, what would it say about us? And that's
Right.
what it is.
Well, I'm going to definitely check that out. So, and if, Andrea, if there's anything else anybody wants to tell the audience about out there, or that they need to click on, but you guys, you can all find it's Andrea Ware, Rachel, Simon Glass, and definitely not least, Cassandra Watson, Aka, Mrs. Matty. So, guys, it's been fantastic to talk to you, and it's been a pleasure and a privilege.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.